We don't have to blur that. You know what I should do? I should have plugged up my microphone because I can do that now. Because had to buy these little guys because everything has got this USB-C in it now. Let's see. Right. That goes there. Now to just find the cord for this. Clearly things are going really well. It's been a kind of hectic couple of weeks. As you probably know. Where the hell is that cord? Tonight we are discussing Life with the Afterlife by Amy Bruni. I am very curious to hear what people say. This was our June book. The reason I say I'm very curious is because I feel like the reviews have been kind of all over the place. Our average club average reading, I think rating was 6.32 or something like that. So I'm curious. I enjoyed it. Did I think it was the best thing I've ever read? No, but I really enjoyed it. And I do think personally, and I will go into this more, you do need to have some connection to Amy, I think, to like this book, and have an affinity for the paranormal and the afterlife and ghosts. And there's nothing really groundbreaking in this that is going to make you think one way or the other. This is just her personal journey and what she thinks is right. And I think what really sells this for me is I just respect the hell out of Amy and Adam, specifically for Kindred Spirits. I've always loved Ghost Adventures. I've always loved Ghost Hunters, but the way that they approach obviously is very different than some of these other shows, specifically Ghost Adventures, just to pinpoint one. But I also love Zach Bagans. So anyway, let me find the cord for this and then I will carry on. Thank you for joining us. Now, again, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so excited to discuss Life with the Afterlife with you. This is our June pick. Our club average, I think, is like 6.3. So I'm very curious to hear what everybody has to say. Again, thank you guys. I'm so excited to discuss this with you. And cats may be screaming at the door. They are perfectly fine. Don't worry about them. They're loved. They just want in, and they cannot come in because there's a lot of paper in here and I don't want them around that. My air conditioning is on and it is very loud. So if you hear like some background feedback on my end with the babies in, I wish. If one of them didn't just like randomly pee on things, he could totally come in. But you know what? Pee and books don't get along. So no, he's not coming in. Jack is in here with me though, but he's passed out already. Air conditioning gets kind of loud. Sorry if there's like a little bit of feedback behind me. Sorry if I start yelling. I do apologize. I also got a notification that there is severe weather expected in the area. I have not seen anything on the radar. Nothing is coming towards us, but I don't know why that's happening. Typically, if there is a severe storm, though, my power is more than likely to go out. So if you guys lose me completely, blame the gods on that one. Of course, I'm on TikTok. I'm live as well over here to my right. Hello. So if you see me look over here, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just looking at comments elsewhere. Not everybody is super comfortable being on a Zoom with a bunch of strangers. I totally get that. So they'll just join my live. Also, because this is being recorded for YouTube, people can watch it later and comment if they did not or could not join. You guys don't have to speak. You can come in as you go. This is not, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. If you need a dip. If you don't want to speak and you just want to hang out with people, totally fine. Since there's a couple of us and we are all virtual, it's a lot easier in person because you can see when people kind of want to say something. Let's all keep our mics muted for now. And if you have something to say, just use the reactions button at the bottom and raise your hand. Also, if you agreed with something somebody says, there's a hand gesture too for like clapping, if you'd like to do that. Let's see. Afterwards, I've just kind of implemented this year, but afterwards, we do a palate cleanser because a lot of the times we talk about some pretty heavy topics. So afterwards, we will, for like another half hour or so, just chat about other stuff we were reading, other stuff we were watching, other stuff we're listening to, enjoying, et cetera, et cetera. And you're welcome to hang out if you would like. And you're welcome to leave if you would like. No pressure at all, but it's typically a good time. It's mostly just like people that are in the Discord that want to chat some more. And of course, be kind to everybody. We've never had an issue with that, but I always have to say something because you never know. I am not afraid to boot people. I've never had to do it, but I love to if I need to. I will have no problem with that. I've had a week and a half, so I will boot you and I will enjoy it. Anyway, I've never had an issue with that, though. Everybody in here is typically amazing. Again, it's so excited to see some familiar faces. I'm so happy to see people returning. And again, I'm very excited to discuss death. Welcome to the Morbidly Curious Book Club. For those of you who are just kind of joining in on TikTok, or you're just in the Zoom because you're lost, Life with the Afterlife by Amy Bruni. This is 13 Truths I Learned About Ghosts. She's the host of Kindred Spirits. And she's amazing. Oh God, what am I doing? I completely forgot. We do have merch. We got more merch, and I know some people have purchased theirs already. This, of course, was our first run. These are still available. It just says Morbidly Curious Book Club, and it looks like you bit into a nice red plum and just got it all over your shirt. These are super comfortable. I sleep in this quite often. Have not been brave enough to wear it in public just yet, but we'll get there. My dear friend, Michaela, designed our club logo, and we finally got that put on some shirts, and I love it. I'm obsessed with it. Our little skull, he's so cute. So these are also available permanently. None of these are limited run. We do use Bonfire, which is limited run, but I wanted these available at all times. So you're welcome to grab those whenever. And because they're not limited run, they ship quicker. So you'll get them with like in a week and a half or so. And then last but not least, to kind of go in with the theme this month, I designed kind of a traditional tattoo style ghost who is sitting in front of a morbidly curious gravestone. And I love him. And I got the crew neck in like a forest or dark green, whatever this color is. And I'm obsessed with it. Can't wear it for maybe 3 more months. Don't care. I love him. That's in our book club's website. Also through the book club's website, we do have our Discord, which is not mandatory, but we do have, discussions on there sometimes about books that we're reading for the book club. We also have like a true crime chat for people to discuss that. We have local meetups, and then of course other books that we're reading, because I haven't stopped freaking out about Fourth Wing, and I need some people to talk to about it. We'll get into that in the palate cleanser. Anyway, Life with the Afterlife. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts. I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I think personally, it's nice to have a familiarity, I guess, with Amy Bruni and the kind of work that she does. And I think that that's what solidified it for me. I was seeing a lot of like 1 and 2 star reviews on Goodreads. So I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say. Again, our club average was 6.32 or something like that. So whoever would like to go first, share your thoughts. Let's discuss. No pressure. Who wants to go first? Oh Lord, are you awake now? What's wrong? I felt like the book was a big advertisement for Kindred Spirits. I agree. I do agree, but I will say I do love Kindred Spirits. Angela, and you are muted.
Okay, hi. So I liked it, but I've never watched any of the shows with her, so I had no idea who she was. Like in the book, she talks about people who kind of think that ghost shows are made up, like that people are in the background provoking stuff and making noise, and I am those people.
Right.
So I never really watched the show because I tried Ghost Hunters or one of them. I don't think it was Ghost Hunters. I think it was another one, and I just felt like it was so fake. And she did mention that some of them are, kind of tend towards fakeness. And it must have been one of the ones that I watched. I was talking to my daughter about it because she's super into paranormal stuff. And I think we're going to try Kindred Spirits because I don't know. It's not that I don't believe in ghosts either. I do believe in ghosts. I just feel like most of the stuff I've seen on those shows are just like hyper exaggerated. So I was pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed the book. I kind of thought, oh, I'm not going to be into this because I don't like those ghost shows. I like the little snippets at the end where she told stories about encounters and stuff there at the very end of the book, like to cap the chapters. I thought that was a neat idea. So I liked it. It was like probably a 3-star read for me out of 5, but just because I enjoyed it, but I won't pick it up again. Like I won't need to reread it. So
right.
Those are my thoughts.
Thank you so much. Have to hold the baby. Yeah. Kindred Spirits, I never really watched until we started reading this book. I watched Ghost Adventures though. I watched Ghost Hunters, and I really liked her in Ghost Hunters, and of course Adam as well. But of course, at the back of my mind too, you're like, okay, well, this is television. I don't. It's not that I don't respect these people, but this like, how are they lying to us? Just tell me if you're lying. Just tell me if you're lying. Like, I can't tell, and it makes me nervous. I do remember there was a episode of Ghost Hunters where pretty much the entire episode they debunked everything, and it wasn't even haunted at all. And I'm like, this is great. Like, I love that they actually included this. And then it's in the back of my brain because I worked in television, not reality television, but I'm like, well, the producers were thinking of that one, you know. So I would recommend Kindred Spirits for sure, though. It's such a nice, relaxing ghost show, if that's possible. It's really nice background noise for when you're working, like, because I work from home and I would just have it on. Compared to like the Ghost Adventures where they're all screaming at each other. Kindred Spirits is really, it's just a really good time. Haley, welcome.
Hi,
Hi,
nice to see you.
nice to see you.
So I rated this one pretty high. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I'm please, sorry. I am puppy sitting right now, and she was climbing on the table. But anyway, so for me, I think I've only seen like Zach Baggins show, and so for me, I feel like that one's very dramatized. And so I kind of liked how in the book she was talking about the difference with Kindred Spirits. Like, I really enjoyed how she was mentioning like ghost hunting is kind of like social work for the dead. And as someone who works in the social work field,
Right.
it was very interesting to hear it phrased that way. So I really enjoyed her different approach to ghost hunting.
Yeah, and I respected it quite a bit because, again, you have, no, I'm not saying anything's wrong with the other shows, but a lot of the times they go in and just kind of freak out and they don't understand the fact that ghosts were people at one point, you know. And I really love the whole tagline of "we're kindred spirits with," because they were alive, and you know, at one point, and there's potential that they need help and they need somebody who's not going to go in with cameras and start screaming at stuff, you know, like, oh my god, you know, something touched me. It's probably going to get nervous, you know. We don't know, though. We don't know. And I love that she admitted we don't know, and she's not trying to pretend like she knows everything, and she's just saying, this is what I've experienced, this is what's helped, this is what's been, you know, good for our show.
Yeah,
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I like that there wasn't the push of like, oh, we have to push the ghosts into the light. So I enjoyed that chapter a lot.
That was super interesting because I feel like every ghost show you watch, immediately they're like, go to the light, look for the light. And like, what if you get ghosts that like don't believe in like a god, and you're like, you know, go meet the father, and they're like, who, you know, like, who would you like? Yeah. How do you direct a person that you didn't know to something that they might not want? So yeah, I definitely put a pin in that for sure too. I really respected the hell out of her for that. But also, again, is she right? We don't know, but love that. And I love the social worker aspect too that you're talking about there. Becky, I missed your face. Hi, love.
Hi, thanks. It's been a rough month. I dislocated my patella about 2 weeks ago, so I've been kind of in a mental health pit.
I don't even know what a patella is, to be honest.
The kneecap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we can save that for the palate cleanser. Anyway, I didn't hate this, but I also didn't like it very much. I know nothing about her or her show. I've never watched any of the paranormal shows. I'm kind of a skeptic. but I was open to the book, and I guess I just wanted, I don't know. I was like, well, maybe I'll hear some profound musings on life and death, and it just didn't. It seemed very surface level. I didn't feel that there was that profundity, which that's okay. You know, we don't have to be completely touched by everything that we read. But the structure of the book was a struggle for me too. don't think it was organized very well. And sometimes like her chapter titles were catchy, but then sometimes it didn't seem like the point she was trying to make related back to the, like I almost took the titles as like a thesis or something, and then the chapter didn't really. So I think that took away from the experience for me a little bit, is just the flow and how the book was written didn't really work for me. But she seems really fun. Like she seems like a cool person. And I would be open to watching her show. And I know I said I'm a skeptic. I'm also a big weenie. And so I think I haven't watched a lot of those shows because I don't want to be scared.
My dad and I joke about that a lot. My dad and I call it, we had to take a lap, because sometimes those ghost shows always come, like Ghost Adventures comes on at like 10 p.m. every Wednesday night. And we'll text each other like that one, that whatever they just call on camera, I had to take a lap, like because we're weenies too.
And like even like I don't like scary movies and stuff either. Like I think one of the biggest regrets of my life ever is watching Paranormal Activity. Like that movie will never leave me ever. So it was kind of, I guess, maybe a nice change of pace for the group to read something, even though it was about ghosts and death and stuff, it just was lighter.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that part, but I think I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads because it was just kind of okay. Like I was more excited to just come to book club than actually talk about this book.
I love that though. No, it's okay. There's a lot of reviews similar to that. And actually I was getting a comment too on TikTok over here that people found it very repetitive. And that's also something that on the reviews, there was also repetitiveness and the repetitiveness. Yeah. But
it does sound like the conventions and all of that sound cool. And I was super disappointed because I read a different book a couple weeks ago, a fiction book called White Horse. And my favorite, which is supposed to be a horror novel, but it's kind of not. I'd say it's more of a thriller. But anyways, there's this whole scene where this woman goes to the Overlook Hotel and she goes on one of their tours and all this. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go. Like now that's on my bucket list. But then she said in this, Amy said in this book that the Stanleys kind of gotten away from leaning into the creepy part. And I was like, oh no. So I'm sure I can still figure that out. But the author of White Horse,
Erica.
Yes, Worth with a U, right?
Erica Worth, WRTH. Yeah. I didn't like that one as much.
That's and it's a good book. She's obviously a King fan, so I think it was a 3-star for me, but it was a good book, and she's obviously like a Stephen King fan, which I am too, so I appreciated that. But anyway, those are my thoughts on life with the afterlife.
I love it. Yeah, I really wanted to slide in a paranormal book in our group at some point.
Yeah.
And there's not too many that aren't written by, I guess, people that aren't like ubiquitous. Like they all have like TV, like a majority of like Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson, they're the ones who did Ghost Hunters. Like, I mean, it's mostly people that have been in that space for some time. And then like Mary Roach, but I thought her book wasn't like that. I think it's called Spook. I thought people didn't like that one. So I was like, you know what? Let's just read Amy's book.
Yeah. The other thing I respect about Amy, like I said, she's, and maybe I'll watch her show because she seems like cool and fun and everything.
I definitely recommend it. Yeah.
I kind of respected, like, just like everything else, the like paranormal, like ghost hunter seems to be a very male dominated. And she's kind of, pretty respected or whatever in this field or in this area. She's representing women or whatever. Cause I think I watched I watched an episode. I can't even remember what one, and remember feeling like these guys are douches. And like, it was the hosts that like turned me off from
I'm gonna
Like,
take a
watch-
wild guess and say it was Ghost Adventures.
It could have been. I can't remember now.
They are like the biggest tools ever, but man, do I love that show.
Yeah, because I'll have the same reaction sometimes on like true crime podcasts where I'm like, these guys are
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
nope. So anyways, yeah, I put it on my list. I'll have to go find like where it might be streaming or whatever, but
Is it Max?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Max, I think. HBO Max.
Oh, okay.
Max
I
now.
have that.
Yeah. They have like all of them. Yeah, Max and Discovery Plus. They're
Okay.
really nice. I mean, it's just like it's nice background noise too if you just need like
Yeah.
something on.
And I did appreciate what you said, and I think what Haley said too, of like, you know, whether you believe in ghosts or not, just like the respect kind of piece, and
Yeah.
like, you know, realizing that, you know, even ghosts, not every ghost is going to subscribe to a Christian
Yeah.
belief system, or even, you know, that oftentimes they need help, right? So I did appreciate that aspect. And the part that I really wish we could know more is about her dad and how he never really like talked about or shared what his skill might be
Yeah.
in this area, but how he just like went and stayed at that house and then like it was never haunted again. I'm
Yeah.
like, what
What did he
is
do?
that about?
Right.
So
Good. Well,
Yeah.
All right. 2 stars. That's fine.
yeah,
We'll get him on the
you
next
know, they
one.
can't all be winners. So
No. And we have discovered that in this book club.
yeah.
So we did get a comment on TikTok saying her and Adam are the real deal. Her and Adam Berry, who do the Kindred Spirits show, just went on Alaska cruise with them, and we investigated, which is so cool. I was following them and watching their stories about their Alaska cruise. The Alaskan Hotel, and Amy and I was with Amy in one room, and she was just how she was on her show, so active, and she was so warm. I love to hear that. I really love to hear that. From Here to Eternity by Caitlin Dowdy, we read last year. I think that was everybody's favorite book last year. That was a really good book. We loved that one. Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hi, everyone. So I really enjoyed the book. I have never seen Ghost Hunters or Kindred Spirits because I am such a believer
Mhm.
in the afterlife that spirits are the one thing that I don't fuck with them. I've had some pretty crazy paranormal, I wouldn't say paranormal, but I've had some pretty crazy experiences personally with spirits that have scared like the daylight out of me. So I don't really mess with it, but I had a lot of fun reading the book. So I gave it 5 stars. I did find it repetitive. I did think it was going to be a little bit different than what it was, but it was like, you know, more her talking about like her on the show and stuff, which I enjoyed. And a lot of the things that she talked about, I have like been to or seen. So I just recently went to Salem, and I did see Giles Corey, is that his name? His headstone, and there was like a pocket knife. I put it in the
Yeah,
Discord.
you were in the Discord. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did put it there because I saw it and I was like, this is so crazy. I went out of season, so there was no one really around to ask why there was a pocket knife on his like headstone there. So I thought that was cool. And then I've been to the St. Augustine jail. That's a pretty crazy place. So I really do enjoy, you know, like talking about the afterlife and stuff. But like I've seen people in my house currently. Like I saw a little boy in my room about 2 months ago, and I thought it was my son, so I didn't like say anything, and I just kept walking, and then I like was like, wait a minute, like he's eating in the kitchen. So I like turn around, and he was like sitting by my bed, like almost like a little kid, like he was like hiding from me. So I thought it was my son, and I just kept walking. I'm like, okay. So she talks about in the book how and I've had roommates in college say, I've had 2 roommates say when I'm not there that they would hear my dresser drawers opening and shutting, like they thought I was there, and they would smell cigarette smoke, and I'm not a cigarette smoker. So, and then I used to have really, really crazy dreams, that would really scare me, that like I would wake up and it would like really be like what was happening.
Oh
I
my
remember when I
God.
first got pregnant with my oldest, that I like was having this dream, and it was me and my husband, our last night in the house we were in, and we were moving into our new house. So I had this dream, and like the dream looked how it was when I fell asleep, and there was this giant like demon figure standing over my bed, like with horns and everything, and was like, and I've had experiences in the past. So like in my dream, I'm like, don't pay attention to it. Cause what she says in the book, like if you give it attention, like you draw it in. So when I see stuff like that, like I'm just kind of like wall up, like I don't want to pay attention. Cause like the stuff I've seen seems to be like negative. So yeah, this like demon thing was like over my bed and was like pointing to like my belly, like I want the baby, like what you see in like movies, right?
What the
And I'm
fuck,
like,
Alex?
in my dream, I'm like, my husband's like, I'm like in my dream, I'm like, oh no, like F you, like you fuck off, like I'm not interested, right? Like thinking like if I am just not interested, it's not gonna bother me. And then like the door, this is all a dream. In the door, like the door busts open and then this thing is like in our face and we kind of both like in bed. And when that happened, I woke up and like this and my husband's like still awake watching TV. What's going on? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, leave the TV on all night. Like I can't, whatever. So I'm that type of person that I smudge my house. I have crystals, whether they help or not. Cause she says in the book, some people, she doesn't believe in it. It makes me feel better. And I'm not a religious person at all, but I was so scared. My friend, she's Greek. My friend came to my house, blessed my house with this stuff. I don't know what it was, gave me holy water. I was like ready to drink it. I'm like, it sprayed all over me, like, you know. So I did have a lot of fun reading this book because I do believe in it so much. But as far as like watching the show and stuff like that, like I
might
can't
be a
do it because I
little
feel
too
like if I pay
real.
attention, it's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Well, damn. Well, I'm glad I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's terrifying. That's only
It is,
happened to
but
me
I mean,
one
it hasn't
time.
happened in a while, so.
That only happened to me one time, but it wasn't like a demon or anything. It was a big ass spider on the bed, and I freaked out and scared
Same
the
thing.
daylights out of Chris. I don't know what that was. That was so scary. And I would love to hear other spooky stories too. If I'm sure like that's gonna take up a majority of our discussion, but if you have any ghost stories, I would love to hear them. I have a couple, but we'll get into that. Anyway, Kelsey, hi friend. Oh, you're still. Oh, wait. It says you're not muted, but let me see. Could not hear you. No. I saw what you mouthed, but no, I cannot hear you. Sorry. I can only, let's see. Yeah, I can only mute you. Ignore me, I'll figure it out. No worries. Oh, Ashley, yeah. You had your hand up, and then we'll go to Dakota and Melina. Make sure nothing's wrong on my end. Could y'all not hear? Oh, okay, good.
I'm like, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We will.
Hi everybody. I missed the last one, so it's nice to see everybody.
Welcome back.
I felt a little similar to Becky, where I felt like the story was kind of here and there, and just the way it was like formatted and flowed was a little bit choppy, but I did like the story, especially since I did watch Ghost Hunters growing up. Like it was very cool to like get that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely thought it was going to be a little bit deeper, but I totally agree. It was nice to have a nice change of pace. But the things that I really liked about it were in the kind of how she was talking about growing up, that her family, her parents encouraged her and her brother and sisters that to like not be afraid of what they didn't understand. And like those types of life lessons were really nice in this, to like, just because you're maybe afraid or maybe don't understand something, to not completely, repel yourself from it, to maybe dive a little bit deeper to try and understand it a little bit, which could apply to literally anything. And that was kind of nice. But the other part that I really enjoyed was the kind of like speculation of how we perceive ourselves and our experience after we pass, if whatever that experience is, how they were talking about, where is it? Where like maybe you were Christian in life and then you pass over, but you're still stuck in this limbo. Do you still feel the same way?
Yeah.
Based on your experience after you've passed? Or like, how do you feel about your this other existence now that you're in it. Like, we might be afraid or trepidatious to talk about it or not know about it in life, but once we pass, how do you feel about it? That being your actual existence now. That
So
was super.
scary.
Yeah.
So scary to think about.
That speculation was fascinating though. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I'm trying to find the quote. I read this one on my Kindle and it was nice to be able to just like highlight, and now I can just look at all my highlighted stuff.
I do.
But yeah, those parts I really did like, and the little stories about her the investigations that stood out to her the most, like the hotel that she frequently came back to and felt like she was being greeted every time she came back. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like,
Right. Yeah. No, I love
I
that.
enjoyed it. It was fun.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I do think it was a nice little change of pace to have with this group too. I definitely agree with that. Dakota, your shirt looks incredible.
Oh my God, love it.
I just have
Been
to
wearing
point it out.
all day. I know it's like 3 months early, but I'm like, whatever. Like, look at me.
I love the tie-dye too. I was really nervous.
Oh yeah.
I was really nervous, so I'm glad it turned out okay.
No, it came out great. I love it.
Cool.
I'm gonna wear it every day. I love this book. Full disclosure, I've been watching all of this stuff since I was like 11. Like, we like to call Ghost Adventures like the frat bros of the ghost hunting community in my home. Like, we just love this stuff. So, but I really loved I thought this was going to be a straight memoir of Amy. I think earlier somebody said like Amy and Adam are like legit on TikTok, and they are. Chip Coffey also in the book is legit. Amy Allen. Have you watched The Dead Files?
I love Amy.
Oh my God, I love Amy too. Like, they are so legit. Like, I couldn't tell you compared to like Ghost Adventures, like Lady Stag, or if you remember, if you know who she is.
Yeah.
I don't know how they are different, but they just have an aura of like genuinity. You know what I mean? Like, they genuinely like care about spirit. They care about the people that they're servicing, all of that stuff. But with that, I love the book. I thought it was great and like almost like her professional memoir. Like, this is how I like came to be like who I am as a professional, and this is my philosophy. I'm a teacher, so I think that's, I love to know like the why behind why people do things. I also really loved how she like incorporates this into her parenting. She talks about how like she uses haunted history as like a catalyst to like teach her children interest in ghosts and interest in history. And I thought that was really great. Like, what a great, it's on page 6 if you guys care, but I thought that was really great. Like, she's not only like doing this as a profession, but she's like incorporating in her everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And I also really loved like almost the background of spirituality.
Right.
I come from a long line of spiritualists, but I really love how she like incorporated that in her book. Like, after like huge world events, like people really get into spirituality, spiritualism, and seances. And I don't know, I really like that aspect of the book. So
I'm glad. I'm so glad. And I do think it is a pattern that the people who are kind of attached to Amy and the show and understand who all these people and faces are, I do feel like you would enjoy it a little bit more than maybe somebody who's not. But I mean, that just seems to be the consistency in some of the reviews that I've seen too. Like, having that attachment already is always, it's like you're just reading your friend's memoir almost. I don't know where my copy is actually. I am kind of panicking because it's signed. I don't know where that bitch went, and
yes,
it's in this house somewhere. But
dang.
You're like page 6.
Also, notebook. Also, if anybody has ever like if they know the Newkirks, they like talk about them in the book. They have a wonderful documentary called Hellier. It's like one of my family's favorite documentaries. It's about like hobgoblins and like pan people and aliens. It's like really great. They're really great people. So if you haven't watched it, definitely watch Hellier.
I love hearing too family, because this is like something that my dad and I bond probably over more than anything else. It's ghost shows. So yeah, he's the one who got me into all this mess. I love that.
And then with the Zach Baggins like drama, like
Drama.
This, oh
What the hell is happening?
All of my shows have been canceled. Like Amy Allen says, like this is her last season on Dead Files. Like I don't know what to do with myself without all of my shows.
You said Hellier was the name of it?
Yeah, it's Hellier, and it's about this town in like rural Kentucky in the mountains, like Appalachia. They like crazy things are happening, and they think it's like the hobgoblins, and they live in like the catacombs and the caves, and then they believe it's like the Mothman. So if you really like cryptids and things like that, it's a great documentary. But they the Newkirks, right? The Newkirks own like an oddities museum. Like they have like all this crazy stuff. And they like travel with Amy and Chip Coffey and Amy Allen and all those folks like around the state to go do, or not state, around the country to do readings and stuff like that. Chip Coffey also was on Paranormal State. Did you ever watch that?
Oh yeah.
So like, oh my God, with like Lorraine Warren, like she has all her drama or whatever. But like as a kid, I was like, oh my God, they're like so legit.
All my favorite people are in one room.
Right. So yeah, I really like the book.
I don't know how Chip Coffey does it, man. He could just walk into a room and be like, there's a guy named Tommy over there. This guy's name is Frank. Don't fuck with him. This person I don't like either. And they're like looking at the house, like the people who've died in the house. They're like, okay, Tommy, Frank, like he's just on it. Like I don't understand that.
Same with like Amy. Amy is like Amy Allen. She's like, oh my God, there's like globs on the wall, and there is like this guy in the backyard. And I'm like, how do you like process all that? Yeah.
By the way, like to just walk into a building and just see 15 people.
Yeah.
How in the world do you just, I can't. Even like Alex talking about the kid. If I saw I can't stress this enough. If I saw a child in a room, I would shit myself and burn the whole house down. Like, I don't understand how you can keep your cool about that.
Yeah.
No way, man.
Oh, I don't think you're a kid.
I love this stuff. But I have heard stuff that has made me, collapse and fall to the floor scared. Like, we'll get into that. Anyway, I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I hope I'm saying your name right. Is it Melina?
Yes, you're saying it right. So good guess. I like that.
I tried. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, this is my first meeting. I'm so excited. I feel like I found my people.
You did. Welcome.
So I kind of feel like some of the other people here where it felt a little bit repetitive, but that being said, like I also like Dakota watch Paranormal State. So like hearing her talk about Chip Coffey, I was like, man, I love that guy. But also I really appreciate when she was talking about some of the different aspects when she discussed like some of the history stuff that she would find out about different pieces when she was doing investigations. I always think that some paranormal investigators, like they are just interested in the ghost aspect, but not necessarily the history aspect. And I think the history part's like the most fascinating piece. So why wouldn't you go after that?
Right.
But then, so the other part, and this is probably just a very unique thing to me, just because of what's happened in my life recently. But I really connected with the part where she was discussing how different people kind of have a hard time when she pushes back and is like, that's not a ghost, that's, a grief reaction, or that's this or whatever. I was a little bit worried that this book would be a really hard read for me because I've actually lost both my older brother and my grandfather in the last 6 months.
Oh, I hate
And
that.
so a little concerned, but at the same time, like, not a problem at all. But in reading the book, there's been some different experiences that both my family has had and that I personally have had where I have looked at it and been able to say, like, oh, for me personally, like, that was a grief reaction. Like, my older brother, he played the tuba in a band, in like an orchestra. And when I was at my like worst grief stage of my like grieving process, in the middle of the night when I was like kind of sleeping slash, you know, being kind of insomniac, awake, whatever, I would hear like tuba music. But I'm certain that that was like a hallucination. But with my grandfather, my sister and her husband have been going over and helping out with my grandmother who's sick herself, and they're like absolutely convinced, and I'm sure of it because of how my grandpa is. They can hear like him upstairs in like the bedroom and the bathroom, like opening and closing drawers. So like grandpa's hanging around waiting for grandma. Like we know that that's grandpa. We know that that's grandpa, and we're not concerned about it because we know that how my grandpa is and his presence and whatever, but like it's just a little bit kind of sets you back a little bit. My aunt, who doesn't believe in that kind of thing, is like, oh, that's not true, whatever. But I mean, how else do you explain all that? So that's kind of a unique thing. But I thought that was just interesting to kind of read through and kind of see like both sides of the coin of like, oh, that's, you know, some of these things that you see or hear or whatever, that's a grief reaction. That's not a ghost. But then also ghosts are real. That is a real thing. And that is absolutely a thing that manifests and that kind of piece. So I enjoyed it. But that part really connected with me and found that part interesting. So yeah.
Well, I'm so glad, and thank you for joining us. I'm glad you feel like you have found your people here. At least we love to hear that. And I'm glad the book was good. Good for you. Let's see, Kelsey. Let's try this again.
Did I fix it?
Yay!
Oh, thank God. I didn't have another solution if what I didn't fix it. So,
welcome. You're here. You
Hello.
made it.
Yeah, sorry that I'm a mess. It is my default state of being.
You're good.
So I have conflicting feelings because on the one hand, like, Amy seems great. Would have coffee with her, heartbeat. Like, love her. I know nothing about ghost hunting. I think I'm traumatized because I was like teenager, college age during like the height of like ghost TV.
Yeah.
Like when it was like Ghost in the Bayou and like that genre.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, this is dumb as hell. Like,
right.
So I think I'm biased.
It's a new form of trash TV.
Yeah. It's better now, I've been told, but not a fan. But I think I gave it like a 3 on Goodreads. I don't remember. I'd have to look. It was something in that range. Largely, and it might be a me problem, but I felt unsatisfied kind of with the conclusion of like, if you believe in ghosts, great. Like, if you don't, great. And I'm like, I knew that before I read this. Like, I don't know. I just it wasn't cheated, but I'm like, I don't feel like I got a like really firm perspective on this.
Sure.
Not that I would have been happy, I think, either if she came in, she's like, ghosts are real, you're stupid if you don't think that. But I don't know. I felt unsatisfied, but it wasn't a bad book. I agree with some of the other comments that at times it felt repetitive and like things kind of circled back, but it didn't bug me.
I love that this is, I feel like the past couple books we've had, it's been like, especially when we read Caitlin Doughty, or if we read, you know, Haley Campbell's Life with the Afterlife, there's not much discussion because everybody was like, yeah, this was good. So I love when we have a book where it's kind of like mixed. And when I saw our like 6 average or whatever, I was like, oh yes, we're gonna have another Hell in the Heartland. I'm so excited. We're gonna be just going back and forth for 2 hours. I love it. No, I'm glad though. I'm glad that you got something out of it, but you also, you know.
it didn't bore me to tears, but I was like, I didn't learn anything new either. So
I hear you.
middle of the road.
Carrie, welcome back. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, I really like this book. I really like the flow of it. I like the little inserts of stories that she would put in. I really felt seen because I grew up with ghosts. My whole family believes in ghosts. I have so many ghost stories. And that was just my life growing up, is like, oh, we have ghosts, oh, we have a new one, oh, like this is what it does. And that was just like part of my life. But on the flip side of that, when she talks about mental illness and maybe that's causing these phenomena instead of ghosts, it really kind of clicked with me, because I'm like, I feel like we definitely did have ghostly apparitions in my house, but on the other side of that, a lot of my family is mentally ill, including me, and a lot of us suffer from night terrors and things like that. So I'm like, oh, like maybe it's both. Maybe
Yeah, right.
we are mentally ill and have like sensory things happening, and we do have ghosts.
It's just
in
a
our
huge
house.
cocktail of
Yeah. so I had to like kind of decipher in my mind a little bit, like, okay, like which experiences do I know are ghosts and which are not. So that was really cool for her to like go through that and talk about that aspect of experiences. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, grew up with ghosts, totally my alley, totally in my alley. So yeah, I
Good.
loved it.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm in a similar boat to you. I look back on some of the experiences I've had and I'm like, was it? Probably not.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. There's this like one experience where it's like a thing was like knocking shit off of our cabinets and like flying across the room, like one thing after the other. And I was like, okay, that's gotta be real.
I don't think I'm doing that.
I don't think that could be a thing that's like happening,
Yeah, right.
So yeah. So super fun book. It was just a really easy, fun read for me. So super cool.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Thanks.
Teddy, welcome. Hello.
I panicked.
You good?
There's the unmute button. Yeah, so I think somebody had said this on the Discord. I can't remember exactly who, but I thought I saw somebody say it almost read like it was like a how-to ghost hunting, like a ghost hunting handbook on how to do it. And I kind of got that feeling from it as well. And I think because what I had like anticipated the book being going in, it like didn't like it just didn't like satisfy what I thought it was going to,
Sure.
like towards the end. So I think I gave it like a 5 out of 10, like a 3 on Goodreads. So yeah, but I also grew up in a house that we initially thought it was 1920s, but my dad actually just found 1890s wallpaper when they were renovating this spring. So I grew up with ghosts too, and it's kind of funny, especially now as he's like renovating. We had like 2 separate ghosts. We had like the upstairs and the basement. And now that he's renovating, I think that really the basement ghost was just circumstance because of how like the back door was situated, because now that he moved the back door, it doesn't open anymore randomly. But the upstairs ghost, definitely real. He is real. So yeah, definitely growing up with ghosts, it was kind of, I've always kind of been like, I feel like the 2 sides of my brain, because I'm a very scientific person. I'm a research chemist by, that's what I do. So I feel like I have 2 warring sides of my brain that are like a skeptic, and then also like, no, there is a shadow man in my upstairs. So
right.
And then right. And then Melina brought up a really good point too with the grief, because I know, like for me personally, I had a really hard in my sophomore year of college. I lost my grandpa and my uncle within 6 months of each other as well. So it was pretty hard in college. And that is when I started actually having nightmares and night terrors. And I can remember having multiple dreams of my grandpa coming to me, my uncle coming to me and stuff like that. And I just like, those dreams are so realistic in that moment. So it's like, I can totally see how like people grieving can cause these things where they're thinking, oh no, that's a ghost. It's like, was my uncle actually coming to say, like, talk to me or whatever? Probably not, because the one time I had literally, he was in a dream and it was like turned into a nightmare where basically I thought my dad was going to die. So I like literally woke up like crying and couldn't talk because I thought if I spoke it out loud, like it would happen kind of thing. And it was just so realistic to me. So it's kind of like I can totally see how, people manifest these things from grief into,
Right.
what they think could be ghost activity. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But at the same time, it very well could be, something.
right. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, these pants. I'm sorry. Come on. Pick a place. Where do you want to go? Getting so distracted by my child. Oh man, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something so relevant. Now I can't remember. It'll come back to me. Ashley.
Hi again. I love this cat so much.
I love him. But
He's being a
damn,
baby.
he needs attention all the time.
Oh yeah.
Time.
Those are my kids too. But I found the quotes that I was talking about earlier. I dropped one of them in the chat about like more of like the speculative what happens after you. So the one I dropped already was like, once you have learned to experience the universe outside of the physical realm, your concepts of spirituality, on the nature of reality, on life and death will have changed because you're no longer worried about dying. And I'm like,
wow,
that totally makes sense. And the other one was like, are you still the same person that you were when you died? Or did your ideas about the nature of reality and what happens after death change after you actually died? Like, you never know. You just don't know.
I love some of her, like, she had little pockets in that. I enjoyed it. I definitely don't think it was, again, the best book I've ever written, but she definitely had these sentences in these moments where I was like, oh my God, like, goosebumps, love that. And something too that we see on these ghost shows is like traumatic deaths as well, and how that impacts spirits or whatever happens, because they may not even realize what exactly is happening. So, I love that. I don't know if anybody follows Stacia's Weird on TikTok. She was a good friend of mine a little while ago. We haven't spoken in probably 2 years now at this point, but she actually used to work at Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum. And she always said that Zach, and I totally believe her, she always said that Zach was like the nicest person ever. He always looked out for his employees. He was legitimate, et cetera, et cetera. And I know there's been a lot of drama with Zach lately. Just quick briefing, just some drama that he had with previous members of the Ghost Adventures crew, and some what seemed to be micromanaging and territorial aspects of the show, and how he felt about it and how he felt about people creating shows around him. So anyway, besides the point, I went to, oh God, what was that hotel called? It was one of the last places allegedly in Los Angeles that the Black Dahlia was seen alive. Is in the middle of downtown Los Angeles.
The Cecil Hotel.
The Cecil?
No, so the Cecil I couldn't get into. But you can only drive around Biltmore Hotel. Yeah, the Millennium Biltmore.
Ah, okay.
Cecil Hotel is pretty guarded, actually, and it is right on Skid Row. So for my friends in LA know, you don't want to go there.
It's not in a good place. Yeah.
Not in a good place by any means. But absolutely gorgeous hotel, and it still looks like this. Like this
my God.
This is what it looks like. Super weird. Very nice though. And we had a lot of really great footage and evidence from when we were in there. We caught some really cool things in the bedroom. Of course, now I can't remember any of the equipment that Amy so graciously explained to us, but you know, when they have the one camera facing people and everybody's a stick figure, you know what I'm talking about? We had one of those in the bedroom, and I was sitting on the floor, like kind of over here where this chair is, and this is what the bedrooms look like. And there was a person standing kind of next to me at the vanity, and it looked like they were brushing their hair. Like you could just see their stick arm kind of going like this. And I would reach out to them and they would reach out to me, and it was super cool. And we started to explore the hotel a little bit. Like we were walking down these corridors, and a security guard found us, and we were like, we just started, you know, like, and they were already like being told we can't do this. Fortunately, that's not what happened. He led us into a lot of areas that were closed off because of COVID. Also, fun fact, whenever you go to hotels, a lot of times if you ask to stay in the most haunted room, sometimes they will give you just like a little bit of a discount. So we asked to stay in like the most haunted room that they had. And of course, nothing happened during the night. I woke up a couple times, but nothing happened. Anyway, so we were walking through these halls, and of course, the Millennium Biltmore is where they used to hold the Academy Awards for a little bit before they moved it to Lord knows where, but this is where they would have those events. So this is the ballroom, and we got to go in there. We actually got to stay. We stood up on this balcony, and nobody was allowed to go in there, but for some reason, the security guard trusted us to go in there. And I have this video somewhere deep in the depths of my true crime TikTok. But we heard the piano playing by itself, and I have that on video. We heard somebody talking. I have that on video. And we did have one of those, again, can't remember any of the damn equipment, but it was playing AM, FM frequencies. And so every now and again, we would hear like a word. But for some reason, it just stopped completely, and a movie started playing. And we couldn't get the iPad to stop playing it. We didn't know what movie it was. It sounded like a little girl talking. I posted the video on multiple Shirley Temple fan club websites asking if it was Shirley Temple. And I got ripped to pieces because people were like, that's not Shirley Temple. You don't even know her. I'm like, yeah, it's exactly why I'm here. I need you to tell me if this is Shirley Temple. Thanks for answering my question, by the way. I swear it sounds like her because it's like it's a little kid and they're talking about princes. And we still to this day have not figured out what movie it was. We got a couple of weird temperature spikes, but the piano playing by itself, that movie playing by itself made me really nauseous. We had to leave the ballroom. I hated it. I needed to get the hell out of there. And then I've actually had another weird experience at another hotel. I would love to have gone in the Cecil at one point, but that is near impossible now. I think it was it called the Hotel on Main or something on Main. If they changed the name, that sign is still there, which is kind of interesting. And there's like, actually, I don't know if you could see my mouse, but to the right, there's a parking lot. That's the closest I could get to it, and they wouldn't let you anywhere else near the building. That's it, right? Stay on Main, but it's pretty much boarded up now, unfortunately. But LA is full of wild history like that too. Anyway, so to keep it short, those are some of my experiences that I've had, and I definitely had a lot of weird stuff happen when I was a kid, and I just chalk that up to being a kid and hearing weird stuff as a kid, but you never know. You never know. Any other last minute thoughts? Any other ghost stories? I'd love to hear what's going on before we've been chatting for an hour. We can always hop into palate cleanser mode if y'all would like to, or keep chatting. Up to y'all. I'm going to call out Michaela and embarrass her here for a second because I missed your face. Hi, love.
Why did I know you were going to do that?
Michaela is the one I was talking about earlier that designed our lovely t-shirts. She's the reason we're all here, to be honest. Give it up for Michaela.
No, that's you, but thank you.
We've been friends since high school, and I'm so happy you were able to make it to a meeting.
Of course, you're talking about ghosts. I wasn't going to miss that.
Michaela's also the other ghost story I had. I'm so happy Michaela was with me this one time because nobody would believe me otherwise. We were at a oh my god, I used to drag Michaela around and film when I was about to be a film student, or while I was a film student at Western. Michaela's acted for me so many times. We were driving around downtown Statesville, and it's still there. There's this abandoned hotel downtown, and we walked up to one of the side doors and both heard, I mean, I can't even we both heard this blood curdling scream, and we both looked at each other and just ran. I mean, I've never so fast. We just left and then got in the car and we're like, I don't know what that was, and then just drove away. And to this day I still have no idea what that was, but it sounded like a man falling and breaking his leg.
Yeah, especially because it was like in the alley and it sounded like it came from above us. We were like, what?
I'm so glad she was with me, because if I tell somebody I heard a scream in a hotel, they're gonna be like, yeah, sure. God.
You know, I've got a bunch of ghost stories too, because I grew up in a haunted house.
Oh my God, yes. Speaking of walking around upstairs, Michaela's old house, you would just hear people walking around upstairs, and we would just look at each other in the living room like,
That's just my grandpa just walking around, I guess.
which relative is that?
Literally. I'll never forget, my dad always likes to talk about how one of the ghosts locked him out on New Year's, I think it's New Year's Eve. And I was like, I think they were telling you you've had enough. Just stop drinking, go to sleep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's very possible though. I totally would see that happening. It was such a cool house though. That it was just so full of history.
Yeah. I mean, it was like 100 years old, I think. So
Probably one of the scariest basements I've ever seen. No. Yeah. Loved it. Any other ghost stories? Yeah, let's hear it.
So I do corporate education for a living, and the academy that I once was teaching at, that was definitely a haunted space. So we had automatic lights in our academy that obviously, like, they're motion sensors, and during the week they would stay on all the time, but on the weekends we only had like one class that we would teach, and they would go off when we were in our classroom, because obviously we're just in the classroom, the whole class is in the classroom. But they would sometimes just like turn off and on their own for no reason. So that was weird. But then there was one time I was sitting in my classroom, I just like dismissed my class to go do an activity, and we're like attached to like the retail company that we work for, so we'd send them to like the sales floor to go do activities. And I had just dismissed them to go do an activity out on the sales floor. So I'm like looking down at my iPad, kind of prepping for the next thing. And I like felt kind of like a presence like in front of me. And so I was like, oh, there's like somebody that has a question, whatever. I look up and there's like nobody there. There's just like nobody there. So we named that ghost, me and my fellow facilitator, Holly, we named him like Tyler. And we would just like talk to Tyler whenever he was there, like, hey, Tyler, we're teaching class this weekend, just so you know, like, you're welcome to join, but can you not cause any problems? Like, whatever. But yeah, you'd hear like noises down the hall, you'd hear like muffled kind of talking, but there was no explanation for it. You'd feel presence, your like hair would kind of stand up on end, like just weird, kind of like you'd feel like someone was in the room with you. It was just weird.
I totally understand that feeling. I mean, if you were to blindfold me and put me in a room with like 50 people, I would be able to tell you that it's crowded. But also if you put me in a room with like one other person, I feel like you could just like tell. Like you just, I don't know what it is. Like, you just feel it. Yeah, that makes me nervous. Teddy, let's hear it. Scare me. Make me not go to sleep tonight. I'm just kidding.
So, like I was talking about our upstairs ghost. So he always would like, our stairs were like an L shape, right? Like going up and then up. So, all the time you would be like asleep, or like everybody else would be asleep in the house, and I would be just watching TV down there. And how the couch was, occasionally I would be like, my back would be to the stairs. And there would be so many times where I would hear someone walking down the stairs and then look and just see the shadow, like almost like peeking around the corner. But then the other day I went over to my parents' house because I had a package there or something. And I walk in and nobody was there, like not even the dogs were there, which was weird. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm like going around, I'm in the kitchen, and then I look, and in the living room, I saw the shadow guy like going around the corner in the living room, and I was like,
Time
"You're
to
not, you're not supposed to be there. Like, you stay upstairs, sir."
Yeah, you're the upstairs ghost. Stay upstairs.
Get back up there. But yeah, so it's always funny. My mom is like such a skeptic. Like, she's always like, "The house isn't haunted." I'm like,
Hang out in
every
the
single
kitchen for a
like,
while.
right? No, but yeah, but I feel like I had another one. I forgot it though. So
If I saw anything peeking around the corner,
constantly. Oh, this was the one that I'm like,
God.
I think it might have been like my mind messing with me. So I used to have like an American Girl doll, and I had a
God.
baby doll cradle.
No.
I had this cradle that my grandpa made for me. And I used to have it at the foot of my bed, and it was like right inside my door. And so one time I was walking up the stairs, and because I'm a little neurodivergent, I was on all fours, like crawling up the stairs, and I like poked my head around the corner, and I swear to fucking God, I saw the doll sat up, looked at me, and then went like laid back down.
No.
And I don't know to this day if it was just like me having like an overactive imagination or like what the hell that was, but it like so
Becky,
vividly.
I didn't know you unmuted. You scared the shit out of me. Dude.
Oh, I'm so
my God.
I cannot deal with doll stuff.
I know. She said American Girl doll, and I was like, we're ending this right now. Call a priest. Oh God.
So when yeah, even in the chapter when she was like, "Oh, I have like a creepy doll collection," I was like, "Nope." Like,
Nope.
no.
Well, my grandma used to give me porcelain dolls, like
Yeah.
for, like, and I don't have any of
Why
them
was that a
anymore.
thing?
No.
Yeah. Stacia had a haunted doll room too. And again, same scenario. I was talking about the blindfold. If you walked in there, and I know it's just dolls, but you just felt like there were 50 people in that room with you.
They're just like staring at you.
Oh God. And some of them were like donated to her because they were so haunted, and some of them were like, she just bought because they were so haunted. And I was like, she was like, talking to the mirror, like we were live, and we were also there with Jack Glitched on TikTok. I don't know if y'all know him too, but he's a super skeptic, and we were all there hanging out, and Jack was like, yeah, I'll do this, and I was sitting on the floor like, I'm not looking at any mirrors, I'm not talking to nothing, I'm not doing it, I don't care. And of course nothing happened to Jack, but something really scary, I know this Stacia posted about this on her TikTok, but she got like a weird EVP about fire one time, and like a week later her car literally caught fire. And she lives in like Las Vegas, so she was on like one of those massive busy roads, and the bitch just went up in flames. So if I heard anything on that recorder in that room, I was about to get on a plane too. I'm like, why am I doing this? Anyway, Becky, go ahead.
Okay. Now, this totally has a reasonable explanation. We just scared ourselves, but so I grew up in Wisconsin, and my best friend and I had this weird at one time, true crime obsessed, whatever. And so Ed Gein grew up about an hour and a half from my hometown. He's from Plainfield. He's from Plainfield, Wisconsin. Okay. And so we got it in our head, or we heard a rumor about where he was buried, like what cemetery he was in. So we drove to the cemetery in the middle of the day because we're too weenie to do it at night or anything. And as soon as we and this is all like small town rural, there's nothing around. It's just farms and all that stuff. And we turn off, not even a main road, but we turn off a road into the cemetery. And immediately my car is like swarmed by flies. Like in Amityville Horror when there's all the flies. Yeah. And so I'm sure there was a reason, but we got so freaked out. We just were like, nope. And we backed out of the cemetery and left.
What
But
would be the
then-
reason though?
I don't know. Maybe there was a dead animal right there or something, you know, or whatever.
Oh god.
But we used to scare ourselves all the time. And then she thought her basement was haunted. I never experienced anything there, but she says she did. But that was probably the weird. And then we used to freak ourselves out all the time because there was like a rumor in our hometown that in this old creepy cemetery there were witches buried. So we used to like go out there and get high and then try to, you know, freak ourselves out that these pissed off ghosts of these witches were going to get us and stuff. So nothing like earth shattering or anything, but, and I think that's part, I really, when I hear people tell their stories, it's not like, I'm like, oh my God, like they're lying or anything. I think it's just, I haven't experienced anything myself. Right. So, I say I'm a skeptic, but like, I'm still open to it. And I'm not saying one way or the other, but I think I just haven't had my own experiences either to sort of, and similar, I think it was Teddy. I'm an engineer. So I'm also a very like science person. And so it's kind of this, like, until you have your own experience, it's hard to just accept something as true,
Well, it sounds like you need to buy an American Girl doll.
That'll be a no.
Also,
it was Kaya, in case you need to know, for
Oh, okay.
Have you read this yet, by the way?
What?
Did you hear what Eddie Gein done? Have you read this?
Oh, I know. I have not read that.
It's a graphic novel.
Oh, yes. He was a very disturbed individual.
It's all in pictures.
Oy.
Yeah.
Oy. Yeah. I mean, Wisconsin, we've got a lot of the heavy hitters. So, I mean, Ed Gein didn't kill a lot of people, but he was very disturbed, of course. And we've got Dahmer and
yeah, that is true. There's a lot of shit happening in Wisconsin.
Yep. Yep.
Isn't that the Making a Murderer too? Manitowoc?
Yep. Yeah, that's even closer to my hometown. Man, after watching that, my accent came back in like full force. It was really funny.
So glad they put captions on. Not to be mean, but damn, I couldn't understand.
But dolls have always scared me. Like even as a kid, like I remember my parents asking me if I wanted like a My Buddy doll, and I was like, nope. And like even, back in the day when there were video stores. there was this video store. I think it was when Child's Play came out or something, and they had a big poster in the window of like Chucky, right, of the movie, whatever. And I'd have to like go like this when we drove by it. Like I just cannot.
Julia, no, I haven't. I did not read that one. I couldn't get into it, but I did start reading the Riley Sager's new book, which is kind of loosely based on the Lizzie Borden murders. It's pretty good so far. I'm not gonna lie. I'm enjoying it. All right, Teddy, what else you got for us?
All right, this one's it's a funny one. So in my town we have this road and it's called Blood Road. And on that road we have like one of those like not folklore, like blanking on the word. There's this bridge and we all called it like Crybaby Bridge, and we were supposed to like go onto the bridge and like turn your car off and get out of your car, and you're supposed to like hear kids crying, because I think like the story was supposed to be like a bus driver drove the bus off of the bridge. I'm pretty sure it's total bullshit. So one time, to preface this, we were high. So we go and we park on the bridge and we get out and we're like all like walking around the car, and then we get back into the car and the person who was driving goes to turn on the car and it would not turn on, and we're all freaking out and we're all just like, oh my god, car will not turn on. It took us probably about like 2 minutes to figure out that the car wasn't in park. So it wouldn't turn on because it was not in park.
Oh my god. I saw a video about that recently too, where they were on a bridge I don't think it was connected with something. I don't remember. Anyway, it was a TikTok, and they were on this bridge, and all of a sudden the rental car's alarm was just going off, and they were like pressing the button and they couldn't get it to turn off, and it was just like blaring in these woods. And then like the car wouldn't turn over, but clearly there was battery, and like it was super scary. Not in part. I've done that before where I've embarrassingly not started the car yet and almost crashed.
Teddy, sorry. I don't know where you live, but I'm like making my way through like back episodes of Morbid. And I think there's probably more than one crybaby bridge, but they talk about a crybaby bridge in one of their episodes. And it was freaky as shit.
Yeah, I think that's a like pretty common like myth to have.
Yeah.
I'm in Michigan, like an hour north of Detroit.
Oh yeah. Okay. That's the one that I think they were talking about.
Oh really? That's funny.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and Blood Road is kind of creepy too. Obviously, just because of its name.
I love that.
But it was a very commonly stolen road name sign.
Sure.
And actually, I have one still.
I love Fact or Faked. I thought those were so cool.
Yeah, sorry, Morbid does like a spooky roads segment sometimes, and I think that they talked about both of those in one of their earlier episodes. So
that's funny. I'll have to go look back at that because I actually had a friend who lived on Blood Road, and we used to play hostage all the time there.
So play what?
Hostage.
Oh, okay.
It's basically like adult hide and seek. I don't know. You like split up into two groups, and then you take a hostage from the other group, and you go drop them off.
Did I have a childhood? What
you have to like tell your group where you are so that they come pick you up. So we had like rules about it where we like couldn't go drop people off in like Pontiac or Flint, and like Blood Road was one that we would drop people off at a lot because there was a cemetery there pretty close by. And one time, I swear to God, also high, so debatable. We dropped off this guy at the cemetery, and there was like a group of people like in the cemetery at like 2 a.m. and we're like, ooh, bye, good luck with that.
Yeah, that's a no from me.
My aunt got grounded for life in high school because she threw a party in a cemetery here in Statesville one time. Grounded for life.
So obviously.
He's still grounded.
She's a grown ass woman and she's still grounded.
Well, they made a joke at her wedding that like the grounding would be passed on to her husband and now he was responsible for it.
That's pretty epic.
And it's so on par with them as a couple. I mean, it's just perfect. But my grandparents, her parents were both in the Navy, so they grounded her ass for life. And she's having to take that to the grave. Oh my God, it was so funny. My aunt is like that though. It's okay. And then let's see, Carrie, let's hear it.
I have kind of a funny one. So my grandmother lived on this pretty old farm. Anyway, it was just a really old farm, and she would always have ghosts coming through her property all the time, through the house all the time. So she always had like a new one, I guess, that would do something weird. And she would always like, the gossip was like, oh, like this is what the ghost is doing now, or this is the new ghost that we have now. So like that was just part of like the family gossip, right? So we go visit her one day and she's like, okay girls, I've got this crazy ghost, you're not gonna believe me, but it farts. And then we're like, okay Granny, like whatever, you're probably farting and blaming it on a ghost, right? Grandma. So they all leave and I'm of course at the house alone. And I'm just sitting reading by myself, and clear as day, not from me, a fart just right by me. And I'm like, okay, Granny, You weren't kidding about that. So
Oh my God. That's amazing.
yeah, so a farting ghost, who knows?
Your granny's farm was just a pit stop for ghosts to come through, and this one just decides this is his new place to just rip ass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's amazing. I love that.
That's a fun one.
Alex, I'm kind of nervous for what you're about to say.
You should be.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
No, actually, I just remembered, like freshman year of high, this is involving a Ouija board. I don't know if anyone does those or has in the past. I don't mess with them anymore after this. But it was my freshman year of high school, and me and my sister were doing it together, and my mom was sitting with me and my sister. And it said that we were talking to my dad. And it was a very, very emotional Ouija board session.
Yeah.
But we were kind of like, oh, like at first, like, yeah, right, like whatever, you're moving it, whatever. So then my mom, she's not touching the board. My mom starts asking questions that me and my sister wouldn't know the answers to, like, when did we meet? When did we have our first date? When did you propose to me? Like, stuff me and my sister didn't know, because my dad passed when I was 7, she was 6. Like, we didn't really know those things. So it was very, very emotional. And it, like, the board was saying, like, to the day, to the year, like what their dates, when he proposed, when they met, like where they worked, like all these things. So I definitely believe it. I know that a lot of people like the Ouija boards, like you move it and stuff, like, and you're not always talking to someone, but and then after like my scary dreams, like I was like, my friend was like, don't touch those ever again. But yeah, so it said that I was talking to my dad, and to this day I truly believe that it was.
Yeah.
Because how would you know that stuff, But my hands, so we did this for like an hour and a half, like it was very long. And that energy that, like, I don't know if it's like from you and the person you're doing it with, or I believe the spirits are in the room with you. And like when my hands came off of that, like they were shaking, like I could just feel this energy all throughout my body. And it was the craziest feeling. And it was like almost exhausting. Like I just like felt drained after it. And my sister said she felt the same thing too. So I don't know if that's more like, I don't, like maybe sitting still for that long. Like, there's a lot of different explanations, but it was pretty crazy. So I don't know if anybody else has, like I don't know if anybody else has done Ouija boards or anything like that has happened to them, but I will never forget that.
I did see this on Facebook and I thought it was amazing. Totally, yes. And I tagged my friend Becky in it, because Becky, she collects them. She literally has a whole living room of Ouija boards, and people will send them to her, and she's great. I adore Becky. I personally never have touched a Ouija board, and you know what? Probably never will.
I don't recommend it.
I probably never ever will. Becky's great. Right, well, it's been an hour and a half. We can do palate cleanser now. Talk about less horrifying things, so we all sleep. Everybody's welcome to unmute. We're just gonna chat now. Again, come and go as you please. Would love to hear what people are reading, what people are watching, listening to, re-listening to. I am juggling like 85 books right now. I just need to read this. I'm gonna go ahead and quit the live on TikTok. Sorry, y'all. Oh my god, what? Currently reading this. I'm in the middle of A Court of Mist and Fury.
I am too, but I'm going back and reading A Court of Thorns and Roses again, because I listened to it on audiobook and I feel like I'm reading A Court of Mist and Fury, and then I'm like, I don't remember any of this, so I'm going back and reading.
You know what I did? I found this lady on YouTube who has a 2-hour long video recapping ACOTAR. And
Oh, maybe I should do that.
it was great. It really helped. I don't know what it is. I don't like those books. I don't. It's like candy though. Like I just can't fucking stop. And I don't know why. It's not good. Like it's fine. I mean, to me though, like I read Fourth Wing and I got obsessed, and then I wanted like more of the same, like more of that. And it's just not, it's fine. But I can't
I gotta get your fix now for Fourth Wing.
I know, like, and I have to wait
like-
like 4 months.
I have my Fourth Wing right here.
Does it have the
I just
sprayed
started
edges?
it yesterday.
Does it have the sprayed
yeah,
edges? Did you get a copy? You bitch.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
I
Has the sprayed sides too.
I
started it this morning.
literally
I finished it
only-
this morning or this afternoon.
Oh. Yeah.
No spoilers.
I
no
saw
spoilers.
one person post. Yeah, no spoilers,
no
please.
spoilers.
But, I just saw one person post about it before it blew up, and I was like, "Oh, those sprayed edges are really cool." I was like, "I have no idea what the book's about. I don't know anything about it, but those sprayed edges look so cool." I ordered it on Barnes and Noble, or not Barnes and Noble, Amazon that day. So, thankfully, I right before the hype picked up.
I'm like kicking myself because I was at Barnes and Noble and it was out. I saw there was like 5 copies on the table with the sprayed edges, and I was like, I don't really know what this is about. And I just like walked past it. Now I can't find a copy anywhere.
Nowhere. I found one at Walmart. There were 3 copies at the Walmart, but they limited you to 1 per customer. They're not the sprayed edges. I spent $40 on a copy on Pango Books that doesn't have sprayed edges. And then I purchased what was it? The decal so I can spray the edges myself, because that's a smart idea. Why the hell
What
would
do
I
these
that?
edges look like?
So let's see.
Not a single way to
That's
go wrong.
yeah.
So
It's
I
like
bought
dragons.
this.
Yeah.
And my sister has a Cricut, and I was like, okay, well that's it right there on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have I ever sprayed edges before? No. Am I gonna probably ruin one of my books? Yeah.
Well, yeah, got 3 copies.
Who cares? There's people though that are like, I think the number was 375,000, because I saw a TikTok about it today. They're saying there's only 375,000 copies printed with that sprayed edge. And other people are saying, why don't you just wait? They're going to be available at thrift stores in like a year. And I'm like, no, this is going to be the new ACOTAR, like old covers of ACOTAR. You can't find those anywhere. There's no way people are like, it's for like $300 on Pango Books right now. You think people are just going to let that? No way. I loved that book though. Oh my god, it was so good. And then had to finish oh shit, I forgot to tell you guys. Oh Lord of mercy. Next couple of books. I have it all the way planned out until October. It's easiest for me to show you the Discord little graphic that I made, because I don't have all
I took a screenshot of it.
Yeah, so we next month is Angel Makers, which I'm very excited about. This is about
me
ladies
too.
who killed a lot of people apparently. Arsenic in their soup and stuff.
From the
I
description.
read 30 pages in like not even that long this morning.
Same. Well, and there's a note somewhere in like all 3 of my annotations thus far where I'm like, oh no, this is going to be morally gray. Where on paper it's really bad, but like, was it?
Yeah. Was it?
I'm having problems getting into it, honestly. It's just really kind of bleak.
Bummer.
But yeah, so I'm gonna keep reading and see if it gets more juicy, but right now I'm just like, I don't care that she went to the market and did this and that. Get to the killings, please.
I'm excited. Well, I guess it's technically this month. We are in July. So that's July. We Carry Their Bones in August. And then September is a book that came out pretty recently, What the Dead Know by Barbara Butcher, who was working in the coroner's office for New York. She literally was helping in 9/11 discovery missions and like identifying bodies. Yeah. So she's probably got a lot of shit to say. And then, of course, October, we're going to check out Killers of the Flower Moon, because that's when the movie comes out. And
that book is very good. I've read Killers of the Flower Moon and really enjoyed it.
I've heard nothing but amazing things. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's
excited.
good.
And then I really want to incorporate, so this technically would be that, because I don't know, this came out when 2017. No, that's not really a well, I guess this would be considered a classic. I really want to incorporate at least one like true crime classic, like Killers of the Flower Moon, something by Caitlin Dowdy, I'll Be Gone in the Dark, like something like that, at least one classic.
Sure.
So but I don't know what's happening November, December. I kind of want to see what else comes out and later in the month. And then
What was the
also-
Salem? What was the Salem book that you just got recently? It's like black with purple lettering on it.
with my Do You Know Jesus money?
Yeah, with the Jehovah's Witness money in it.
Yes, The Ruin of All Witches. I want to frame
Yeah,
this,
there it
first of
is.
all.
I need to put that on my list.
Yeah. I've only read the first like page or so, but it's really interesting. And I know I think it was our first book club book. We read The Six Women of Salem, which I've been still to this day I've never finished. It was really dry. I think we only had like 3 people for that meeting. It was so cute. This was kind of hard to get through. I'm getting similar vibes because you can only the story so many times, but
yeah, that's
I
true.
do like this one. I am liking this one so far. Again, barely have started, but
I did finish The Great Mortality finally.
Oh yeah. Speaking of dry, how'd you feel about that?
I think I ended up giving it 3 stars.
Yeah.
Because it was interesting. I just had to,
Yeah.
you know, not read it all at once.
How did everybody end up liking the Midnight in Chernobyl book? So I never got to finish that one.
Oh, I didn't finish that one yet either.